kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah! You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
Yeah, well, okay, everybody. Here we are back again, the Thursday thick of it, after a short 2-week hiatus. So I could not be more excited. I'm drinking coffee and Mountain Dew. My wife yelled at me and already predicted that she's going to be angry with me tonight because I'll be, what was her word? Fidgeting all night because of the caffeine, but I know how to fix that. I'm a good drug addict, and I have my melatonin, 20 milligrams of melatonin to combat my caffeine. So I'm speedballing, essentially. I'm doing the natural speedball, the sobriety speedball, caffeine and melatonin, because I love you guys. That's my excuse. I love you all, and I couldn't be more excited to be here. Guys, we have a cool show for you tonight. We have some special guests, which is weird that I call them special, truth be told, because they're on all the time with us. So but this is I'm compartmentalizing it differently. I'm placing it in a different category. Big Green says terrible combo. It's a wonderful combo, Big Green. You judgmental bastard. This is the best I can do. Man, it works. It's working for me right now. I might go to a rehab in a few months for caffeine. The caffeine melatonin rehab. Maybe I got to fix it up. But so these guys that I have, I'm looking at them right now. One's a pretty good looking fella, and the other one's likes banana cream moon pies. So we'll bring those guys on. They're on all the time, but we have these gentlemen. We had them on the other night on the Talking Jets panel. They're down at the Senior Bowl, and I got to tell you, I have been impressed with the evolution of our Senior Bowl coverage. And I tell you, Dom C and Jeremy are crushing it down there. And let me say this, though, too. Jeremy, we had this feeling about Jeremy, everybody, that he's kind of a fearless individual, right? And we had this hope, this dream that Jeremy would be the guy to get a hold of our defensive coordinator. It's hard to get the coaches down there. It is. It's like you have to get the different accesses and all kinds of stuff. And we just said, hey, if anybody's going to do it, Jeremy's going to do it. Just send Jeremy into the pile, so to speak. It's like having that bruising running back. Like, look, we need 2 yards. Just send him into the pile. He's going to get it. He's Christian Okoye, He's Chris Ives. Just send him into the pile, and he'll get the job done. Well, we sent Jeremy into the pile, and he came out with 2 really juicy, beautiful Ulbrich sound bites, if you will. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about this dare I say, collection of bullshit article that we have out there. I read the whole thing twice. I've watched and listened to and read some commentary. We'll talk about what I think is true and what I think is just horseshit and conjecture. And then we'll even talk about what I've heard coming out of the Jets. Now it's the Jets, but what I've heard. And we'll also talk a little bit about who I'm fairly certain the 30 people are. I'm going to tell you who they are. All 30 of them, okay? I have it all right here, written down on the GreenBean brain. Before I bring these guys on, I want to tell you guys about something pretty damn cool that the Talking Jets network, let's call it, the Talking Jets network is getting going. A very special event that we have. So, guys, every year we do the Talking Jets draft coverage, right? It's my favorite thing to do every year. We do all 3 days. We're exhausted and slap happy by the end of it, arguing about, which pizza place is the best, and we get deranged by the end of it. Around the 5th round, we start losing our composure. But every year, it's just a fantastic thing. We have thousands of you that come in. I think last year we peaked out at like 3,500 viewers at one point. It's really fun. But this year, what we're doing, we're still doing the live stream, but we're doing it on location so we can have an actual Talking Jets draft party. It's taking place at the main event in Farmingdale, Long Island. They are famous for having Jets events. They had Ruckert there. They've had other players, signings and stuff like that. It's in Matt O'Leary's neighborhood. It's very close to the old Jets headquarters in Hempstead, Long Island. So it's kind of Jets country. And we're going to be doing it live from the main event, our live stream. We'll have crowd cams and everything. I want to tell you, before we release this to the public, all of our Talking Jets OnlyFans members, right now, you can get a $10 off promo code. So all you got to do is sign up before it gets released to everybody else. But it's going to be a great time. Tickets are limited. I really hope that if you're in the area, that you can come out with us, because there's so many of you that I've yet to meet, and I'm excited. There's already a few guys coming that I haven't met yet, and I'm just so excited to meet some of you guys, because we have the game buy that we have each year, and so many people come to that, but there's still a lot of you guys that I haven't met, and we're coming like right into your neighborhood now. A lot of you guys, the New Yorkers, right? The New Yorkers, we're coming to you, so it's going to be great. So if you're interested, just go to talkingjets.com. It comes with a t-shirt. It comes with open bar. We have a whole buffet thing and everything, and we'll hang out, and there'll be crowd cams for the picks, and you can be on the stream that way and be a part of it with us. And I couldn't be more excited. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to like the damn video. Give me some milk thumbs. Give me those milk thumbs. And don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Let's go and bring our guys on right now. And then I see a couple super chats. We'll get to those in just a moment. Thank you. I want to bring our guys on. Let's say hello first to the guy who's with us every single week, our producer, the Claude himself, running roughshod through the damn Senior Bowl. Jeremy, how you doing, buddy? Oh, you're on mute. See this? I knew it was going to be weird. You did it. Do it. Hey, can I unmute you? Let me see. No, I can't. Unmute the mic. I can't hear Jeremy, everybody. I can't unmute the guest because the guest chose to mute themselves, it says. Let's bring Dom C on. Dom C is literally sitting right next to Jeremy, and he's yelling at Jeremy. I can see it.
The reason
Can you hear
All right.
Jeremy now?
Now I can hear Jeremy.
you couldn't hear me before because Dom was backstage and I'm using his microphone.
So how did we do that?
I'm muted and my volume is off. I'm just using it for the camera to be on.
So Dom has to be on to okay.
Right.
I thought I understood, but I'm old and I don't understand everything I think I understand. That's how it goes. So let me say, hello, Dom, but let me just talk. So Jeremy, dude, how you doing, man? It's been this is your first Senior Bowl. It's Dom's second, but it's your first. You look to be having a great time, man, and you're doing a really, really killer job. Kind of getting some things that are really pertinent to us. So how you liking it? Is it a good time? Is it tiring? Is it frustrating? What's your take of your time at the Senior Bowl so far?
It's been an amazing time. It's been great. It's been great hanging out with Dom C. It's been great hanging out with Dylan. I'm meeting people down here that I've done appearances on their shows, and they're recognizing me and coming over. So it's really cool to start meeting people in person that you've never met in person before. You know that feeling.
Yeah.
I gotta really say I'm just blown away by the whole thing with Coach Ulbrich, because it really was a lucky situation. We were just refusing to leave the field when it was time to be ushered out because we were doing interviews. And because we were like the only ones left, Dom C and I were kind of working our way towards the tunnel with the players. And that's how we got so close to Coach Ulbrich. And I basically just, because he went near me, I just kind of got his attention. You saw how I did it. And luckily I got my phone on time. And that was how I caught the first one.
All right, so stay right there because I'm going to show everybody what Jeremy's talking about. If you haven't seen it, I'd be blown away if you haven't. It's been all over the place. It's been on Instagram, it's been on Twitter, it's been on YouTube. But let's just show it here, if we could, real quick. It's really something else, and we even have a shirt made because of the way Jeremy ends this interview. It's not really an interview. I guess it is, right? But you caught him, but it's really something special. So guys, here, take a listen. This is what Jeremy just said. They refuse to leave the field because they do. They kind of funnel you out. They go, okay, enough of you guys. Everybody get off the field. And I guess Jeremy and Dom just decided, no, we're waiting for coach. So this is what Jeremy caught when they were on the field with our defensive coordinator, the current head coach of the national team down at the Senior Bowl.
Nope, it's muted.
We love you.
We can't hear it.
That's the first one.
You couldn't hear it. You didn't have to.
Oh, you couldn't hear it? Why not? Hold on a second. Why can't you hear it? That's the weirdest thing. All right, I'll do this. Let me just do it this way then. Hold on. I don't know why that would be. Everything's connected the proper way. Okay. Sorry. Can you hear it? Let me make sure the volume's all as up as much as it can go. Can you hear it now, Jeremy? You hear it?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Could you hear it?
Yeah.
All right. So you can't hear it, Jeremy, but Dom can? Is that what's going on?
No, we couldn't hear it.
You said you could.
When you flashed that sound we did, it's
when
okay.
you flashed it for like a second, we heard it.
What the fuck is going on? That's the weirdest thing in the world. Let me try one more time. That's weird. Every clip you can hear. So here we go. Can you hear it? No?
We can't see it or hear it.
Oh, well, what the hell happened? I shut it down. Wait, so here we go. Here we go. All right, this is it. All right, we're going to hear it this time. Oops. Hear it? No? How the fuck is that? Why wouldn't the microphone pick up the speaker? That's like the most archaic, rudimentary way to do things, and it should work. Can you guys in the chat hear it? Let me see. Muted. No, we can't hear it. That's the strangest thing in the world. Why? Let me see if we could do it this way. Hold on a second. We'll try it. There's the article, by the way. Look, you type in X. The internet has no idea what X is. The internet still calls it Twitter, by the way. I want you guys to know that. Whenever we're arguing about what it is, it's Twitter. There we go. Oh, look at that guy. I know him. All right, here we go.
That's not it.
You hear that?
Yeah, but that's not the right one.
Oh, yeah. What is that one? Oh, this is the second one. Hold on. There it is. Okay. All right, here. Can you hear it? No?
Nope.
Jeremy, can you hear it?
No.
Neither can the chat.
What the fuck is that? Why would that be? That's the strangest thing in the world. And you can't hear it if I just put the microphone next to it like this. This is bizarre.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I've literally never had a problem with clips coming through. Never. Let me try to think about that. Tigo, why is that happening? Tigo, by the way, Modine. Well, Modine's in the chat talking shit already. All right, so Tigo's with us tonight, everybody. So we got Talking Jets with Tigo in the house. He's kind of helping us out in the background. If you guys don't know, we are starting a new show next Wednesday on the Talking Jets channel. Tigo and I at 8 p.m. will be doing Armchair GM, where we will be telling you the right way to do this thing, to build this team. We'll be critiquing things, and we'll be building the Jets in the way that would be most beneficial. The mic softball, but why wouldn't I've never had an issue playing a clip and the sound being an issue. All right, well, that would really suck because I have lots of stuff to show you guys tonight, and that's a bummer. So
I know what's going on. I don't think your mic is on. I think it's your computer.
No, let me see.
Yeah.
No, it's on.
Huh.
Hello. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let me see. That's fucking bullshit, man. Let me see. Echo, reduce mic wrap, background noise. Start. Yeah, everything is set the way I want it. Hey, bummer. That I'm not sure. I can't see the presenter side of things. Yeah, but I mean, I just don't know why. That's never happened. I don't get it. So, all right. So anyway, Jeremy did a good job getting Jeff Ulbrich interviews. If you want to see it, go to the Talking Jets Twitter. What a bummer, man. I wonder if the interviews are going to, I guess not, because I just used two different formats. So that's a real bummer. I had a couple Dom C interviews queued up as well. So let me ask you this. Jeremy, how did you get to the podium? Jeremy actually interviewed our defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, at the podium. So how did that happen?
Well, that was the one where I got aggressive. I got aggressive 3 times this week, where I powered my way through and didn't care. What happened was we were looking for players. We were walking around, and Ulbrich came out to one of the podiums, and there's like 4 areas where there's a table with a microphone, and it happened in the middle, so nobody noticed. So the staff, a couple of women were walking around saying, "Coach Ulbrich is by podium 3." And I heard that, and I saw people walking over, and I bull rushed. I just ran through people. I was like George Costanza running out of a fire, knocking people out of my way. And I got a front row, right to the top, like my hands on the table. And I held my ground and wouldn't let anybody move in front of me. And then it was just a matter of waiting until I had an opportunity to get his attention, as he was answering questions. And that's pretty much how we did it.
It's really amazing, man, because you almost look like you're a real reporter. Now let's do this. Tigo, go ahead and hit play. Let's see if we can hear this one.
Yeah.
You
say hello to all the Jet fans?
Jet fans, let's go, man. Everybody watch the Senior Bowl and figure out who you want on the Jets.
Okay, good luck, Coach. We love
Thank
you.
All right, so play it one more time if you wouldn't mind.
You say hello to all the Jet fans?
Jet fans, let's go, man. Everybody watch the Senior Bowl and figure out who you want on the Jets.
Okay, good luck, Coach. We love
you.
All right, so there's thank you, Tigo. If you wouldn't mind, maybe we'll do it that way again. Who knows why the hell it's happening on this end? So I don't know. It's never happened before. There it is. So the funny part about that, and let me show you guys this too. I think it's on the site. So I'll point this out if it's there. Hold on, let me see. All products. Maybe he didn't put it. Yeah, it is. Here it is. So this is the funniest part about it, guys. So you see, I mean, I see nothing wrong with it, but I would have said the same thing. I said it to Rex when I met him. I said it, I say it all the time. We love you, man. Don't worry. You got to do that shit. But here, check this out. It's become kind of a funny thing. I love Ulbrich. So there we have a shirt. If you want to purchase the shirt and support the Jeremy love and express your love for Coach Ulbrich, there are rumblings that Robert Saleh, if he doesn't make it through the 2024 season, he might be our head coach. So you might get this shirt and kind of be ahead of the times, so to speak. So, Jeremy, do you regret telling Coach Ulbrich that you love him?
No, that would be me regretting being me, because the reality was, because I was so off guard and I had no idea it was going to happen. It was all so completely spontaneous. That was as organic as you can possibly be. So that is me in the truth of who I am in every single way. There was no planning. So to regret what I said would mean regretting who I am. So no, that's just me.
Tom, do you regret who Jeremy is?
I was as red as a tomato, thinking, Christ, I'm going to get my credential yanked from this freaking guy. Because what he didn't tell you guys is before that happened, that was the first day, the first practice. So the first practice, we were there in the morning, and they were doing the positional drills. And the Jets have another coach there. I forget me, it's skipping my mind. It's one of the guys who's coaching up the linebackers. One of their defensive assistants is coaching up the linebackers. And that's just happened to be where Jeremy and I were parked to start. And we were literally right in front of the linebackers. GreenBean, you've been to Hancock Whitney Stadium, so you know, you got the barrier, got a little space, and then the guys are right there. Well, they were practicing right there. They're doing their drills. And Jeremy's on the wall yelling, "Hey, Jets, go Jets," to the coach, trying to get his attention. I was like, Jeremy, you can't do that. The guy's trying to practice. So when he grabbed Ulbrich, I was like, oh, God, here we go.
Oh, my God.
Even before I grabbed Ulbrich, they were interviewing him when we first got there at like 9 a.m. And I ran down to the front. And as soon as I saw them stop interviewing him, I yelled, "Hey, Jeff, you stole my logo." And he looked up, and I'm pointing to my logo because I'm wearing the Jets hoodie. So I point to the Jets logo, and he just raises his hand like this. He goes, yeah, I see you.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, you got to remember that. Like, we had, like, out of everybody there, we at least have that in. Like, dude, we're your guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm with Dom. Like, and it's funny because Dom and I talked about it a little bit before the whole, everything started. And it's like, but I'm very much like Dom, but I'm even to sometimes a degree that's not necessary. Like, I am very much an adherer to the rules. I'm uber sensitive to the etiquette, like, especially if I'm new to it, right? I'm very cautious not to like step on toes, and and sometimes I miss opportunities because of that. I've it's all throughout my life, like I've missed opportunities to like, chat with, famous people or, what, like I sat at a internet cafe in Los Angeles on Melrose next to, Jay and Silent Bob. Jay, I was like literally at the computer, two computers down. And I could have just fucking chatted with him. I'm from New Jersey. I'm the same thing. I could have just hung out with Jay. And I thought, hey, he's not coming here to be bothered and blah, blah, blah. And then right after, my buddy just walks up to him as he was leaving and goes, "Hey," and he goes, "Hey, man." He was like super cool. And I'm like, I blew it, but like all throughout. So I would have been nervous. That's why I sent Dom a text the night before. I said, just send Jeremy. I said, Jeremy has no fear, man. Jeremy, what did I say, Dom? Jeremy, not that he's fearless. I think I said, I might have been a little bit
shameless.
No couth?
I was going to say, it might have been slightly more a touch condescending, but playfully,
Yeah. I'll read it. Hang on.
Yeah.
Have Jeremy steamroll his way into any area where JD or Jets coaches are. He's shameless and has no issue doing shit like that.
Right. So this is just me talking to Dom. Like, dude, Jeremy's the guy. You just fucking send him in there. Have him steamroll his way in. Because I know Jeremy, he's like, he's like that. He's from Brooklyn. Like, guys are just like, hey, I belong here. Get out of here. I belong in this fucking circle of this inner circle. Let me in. So, but that's the thing. And look at the beautiful clips that we have. So we'll play this next one. Thank you, Tigo. All right, set Jeremy loose, Green Dog says. And Fat Gandalf, I'll get to your super chat next. I'm going to just finish this, and then we'll move a little bit into the article because I do want to get, and we'll talk more about. We're going to show some interviews and everything, but I want to talk about the article and the potential Jets mess that we're talking about today. Or this week. So let's bring this up. This is look at this, Jeremy as a real live reporter here actually, and I want to draw everybody's attention to something. Look at now, Jeremy's question is good. It's a good question, but it's also a question that reporters probably wouldn't ask, like somebody seasoned, because you're kind of putting him on the spot, right? A little bit. But watch Ulbrich's hesitation. He's like, how the fuck do I answer this? You know what I mean? And be like political and kind of not you can't say, oh, this guy, you know what I mean? You can't. But it's a great question. So watch the pause from Ulbrich. It's something special. So I hope
have you found anybody that you think you like that could come in right away and just play inside with Quinnen?
I've been very impressed by a lot of the D linemen that are here. I really have. To say that, I'm not quite ready to say that because I gotta, this is part of the evaluation process. It's not the entire picture. Got to go back and really take a deep dive into their college tape, deep dive into all the people at their colleges to really get to know them on a deeper level. So I'm not quite there yet.
So you see the pause. Look, Dom was laughing. It's like he's literally thinking like, okay, all right, how do I? Number one, who let this guy in here? Number one, I saw him on the field the other day. He got me. Here he is. Holy shit, there he is.
GreenBean, you don't have no idea how close I came to asking him. I had a question ready and then changed my mind literally about 10 seconds before I asked that question.
What was your original question?
My original question was going to be, Coach Ulbrich, you've been in New Jersey for 3 years. Is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
Oh my God, that would have been fucking killer, dude. That may have been a better question, dude. Because he knows. Oh, that's so good. You're good, Jeremy. You catch a lot of shit. But let me just peel back the onion for a second. And I appreciate you, man. I do. You're a good guy and you're funny, man. It's not just looks and all that, like we say. But yeah, dude, how great would that question have been, everybody, right? I'll tell you. Like Cespo says, Jeremy gets the dirty yards. Yeah, that's right. Very important. You need that guy, man. Everybody needs a Jeremy. You know what I mean? Because gets it done. That's fine, dude. Dom, were you with Jeremy when he was doing that? You weren't. Jeremy just left the house and said, I'm going out for cigarettes, and that's what he did.
That was during the media day. So you weren't there last time because your flight got delayed. You missed that, but they got you in the convention center, and pretty much they roll in one team at a time, all the players, and that's where you go and grab them, and pretty much where you get the majority of your one-on-one FaceTime interviews with the players. And at one point they had the big names up in the podiums. They had Leatu Latu, they had Quinyon Mitchell, they had Tyler Guyton and Coach Ulbrich. And Jeremy saw Coach Ulbrich and he ran from me. He said, I'm going to get Coach. And he literally, GreenBean, there was a big crowd around him, and Jeremy just kind of finagled his way right up there, right to the side. You saw how close he was. He was literally hanging over the podium. And there you are. So I didn't see it until we got back in the car when we were leaving.
Oh, that's so good, dude. I know. And you're thinking, oh, this guy, man, he's like making you all uncomfortable, right? You're like, but he gets it done. Look at that. Dom, would you have preferred the pork roll Taylor ham question?
Yeah, well, listen, I'm going to give Jeremy some credit, but that question came up. It wasn't a Jeremy original, and I'll show you later.
Right. That's true. That question was in my head for a reason, and that'll come up later.
That'll come up. How are we going to get there? Do I have to do anything?
One of the interviews.
One of the interviews.
Okay. All right, good. But I can't. Well, so Tigo, good. Thankfully, Tigo has, I don't know what the hell's going on with my connect. I mean, clearly I have the same connection, right?
I'll private chat it to Tigo.
Yeah. All right. Beautiful. So let's do this. So, all right. So by the way, guys, the East West Shrine Bowl is on right now. If you weren't aware, you can kind of keep that on the TV and watch that. I want to draw your attention to one of my, not Dom, I've already drawn his attention to it 100 times, but I want to draw everybody in the chat's attention to a little sneaky little devil playing in this game. His name is Malik Washington, Charlottesville's own from, UVA here. He's somewhat of a star in this town. And I honestly believe it's kind of like Tank Dell last year, and every year there's like these guys, they're mid to late round picks, and they end up coming in and they're like, how did we miss this? keep an eye on Malik Washington. He's small. He's the exact same size and height, except he's got 4 pounds on our little fella, Xavier Gibson. But he's what we're hoping Xavier Gibson can develop into. He's already that guy. And in my opinion, and I think that he's going to come into the NFL. A lot of teams are going to pass him because of his size, and rightfully so. I think it makes sense. But I think whoever gets him is getting a gem. So keep an eye on him in this game, and see. Tell me what you think about my little fella. I'm telling you, man, he's
one of the best route runners that you'll see in this draft cycle. For real, he separates as good as anyone. Even though he's small, he can get vertical. I mean, he's the real deal.
Yeah, you know what? I'm looking forward to the combine. Did he get a combine invite? Do you know?
That I don't know.
If he gets to the and you'll see it in his pro day either way. I'm really curious to see what his vertical is and his long jump and those kinds of things. Because I think what I've seen is that he had he's 5'9", but he has the ability to become 6'8". Yeah. He does that. He can outleap these cornerbacks, and I'm real curious to see what that looks like in that athletic, testing, realm. Let's call it. So anyway, that game's on, and you can take a look. Look at that. Who's that? Oh, a little out of bounds hitting over there. So, all right, let's get to Fat Gandalf. Hey, buddy, thank you for waiting. I appreciate the super chat. Fat Gandalf, a longtime supporter, one of probably, in my opinion, top 3, if not the best name, the handle on YouTube out of all of us. Fat Gandalf. I mean, come on. You know why. Now, he's talking about the article, right? So when has anyone here read a memorable article from Diana Russini? Now, Diana Russini, she's kind of an interesting character in all of this. It is my belief that she has sources, right? They're real. She gets some real good takes and everything, but a lot of what she says also, she clearly doesn't like Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. And this is it's just there. That's clear. All right. And there's a twinge of from when I read this stuff, and even the last, the one about Zach Wilson and all that stuff, there seems to be there's an air of pointed anger or something to me that I pick up. Right. And so there's that. And so a lot of what she references in the article, Fat Gandalf, she's using it as facts, are the things from her previous article. So you'll see some of that throughout the article. It's really interesting. She reports these things, but she's reporting back to her reporting, which has been disputed. So it's an interesting thing. Now, she says she has 30 sources, everybody. If you're not familiar, James Thompson said here, just real quick, the Jets are already getting messy. Now, let's just be clear here. There's very little in this article that I think is true that we didn't already know, right? We know that Robert Saleh doesn't get involved in the offense at all. We know that. Okay. Now that's, as a CEO head coach, I think you don't run the positional groups, but I still think you're supposed to be involved. It's one of my rubs with Saleh. And it seems like every head coach that we get kind of has that mentality. Adam Gase, what did he call Greg Williams? The head coach of the defense. Todd Bowles was the same way. He didn't give a shit about the offense. I mean, he fired every offensive. We had a different offensive coordinator. We had 3 offensive coordinators in 4 years of Todd Bowles' tenure here. What does that tell you? So then you got Rex Ryan. He's notorious for not being a part of the offense. And it just goes on and on and on. It's a weird dynamic that we get as Jets fans. Our coaches are specifically and only to their side of the ball, which just isn't any good. So we know that about Robert Saleh. And we also know that Zach Wilson's a disappointment. We know a lot of these things already. Where it gets weird for me, and I'm real curious, Dom, I'll ask you first, is the comment about Robert Saleh gathering up all the coaches and demanding their cell phones. Does that sound like Robert's? Like, so in one part of the article, she talks about Robert Saleh being too weak. He's too concerned about his personal relationships, people liking him. Like, that's a rub that she points to in the article. And then she turns around and says Robert Saleh is fucking lassoing everybody together and threatening their lives with taking their cell phones, and they're going to get fired. Does that compute to you?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I'm sure there's some truth to maybe the discussions and or paranoia, but I mean, you're gonna commandeer their cell phones and do what with it? Log it to see who they're texting? I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't, like, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 for me all there. And you know, down here there are some people that we talk to, that I talk to in particular, that are a lot more tied in to the ongoings at One Jets Drive than us. And, they seem to be forthcoming in the fact that whole thing might be a little bit blown out of proportion, and that some of that is bullshit, if you don't mind my language.
I do mind your language, and I don't appreciate it. All right. Well, so yeah. So thank you. It's interesting, right? It's not to say that there's always, most of the time, there's some truth. Like, did Robert Saleh ask, "Hey, can I see your cell phone?" to somebody, or did he kind of,
did he meet with them and say, "Hey, somebody's a mole, somebody's leaking some stuff, and come forth right now, you won't get in trouble"? Maybe that's in some sort of sense he had that conversation, but like, the strip searches and the cell phone, commandeering and this, that, and the other thing. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. So Jeremy, let me hear your take on it. Like, on that specific chunk there. Any thoughts? I mean, is that something you go, "Hey man, I believe it. I think Saleh's panicking and kind of gathered everybody up, and he's losing control." And maybe Woody said, "Go in there and fucking get their cell phones." And he said, "Yes, sir." And I mean, do you think that there's any truth to that piece?
I take everything I hear from reporters with a tremendous grain of salt. I think it's possible that in anger, he may have not actually taken their phones, but said, like in a rhetorical way, "Do we have to take your phones and search your texts to get to the truth?" And made some remark about it. Because I've done that as an assistant principal. I said to the kids, "Do we have to strip into your bag, strip down your book bags and search everything and go into your private thing?" And you say it rhetorically in anger and to make them understand how upset you are and how they have violated some kind of code or some kind of rule. But, my pet peeve is when a reporter says "source to the building" or "a person in the building," because
a person with knowledge of the situation.
Right. It's incredibly vague, and a person in the building could be the janitor. A person in the building could be it's obviously someone you never have to name, so you never held accountable if you're full of crap. I think that the bulk of the story we already knew. We've been talking about it on these shows for months, so it's almost humorous to me that people are making a big deal of it now, as if we didn't know there was something broken in that with our team as far as the offense is concerned. We've all known this. We've all talked about Hackett, and I think that this is just really poor timing. I think it's a waste of time. I think we've got to let the season that has passed be in the past, and we should be focused on especially I'm here in the Senior Bowl. That's the irony of it. We're looking forward,
right?
And that's where I want to go, forward.
Yeah, and it shows like a lot of energy, a lot of resources. Now, look, if there's a story there, of course, you want to, you got to pull that shit out. But again, this seems like let me just say this. The Zach Wilson "I don't want to play" thing, it had legs for like a minute, and it just went away very, very fast. I don't think she liked that. I think that she wanted that to be a much bigger deal, a much greater controversy. Robert Saleh came out and said, "Look, if he didn't want to play, he wouldn't be here. If he said I'm not going in, he wouldn't be here." It's very simple. Rodgers said, "Hey, it's bullshit." Rodgers never answers their calls. She put in the article. Aaron Rodgers did not respond to a text request. The Jets haven't responded. So the Jets aren't giving her anything. So there's, she's got to go this way. Now I'm going to tell you guys who the source is. It's a really interesting thing. If you pay attention, so in my position, Dom, I have to think the word I use is globally, right? I have to think, people gripe about this or that, or I got an issue here. And I have to think, okay, if I fix that issue for you, what does that do to this and that and this and this? So I just naturally look at things in a more larger scale, right? So when I look at things, I don't look at, okay, she says she has a source and this is bull. Who can it be? I go, okay, what's the consistent theme here? So what's going on when these articles come out? So the last article, the Zach Wilson article, came out right as we cut Tim Boyle. Right as we cut to us. It's an anonymous source, but it just so happens to be right on the heels of cutting Tim Boyle. We get all this information about quarterbacks, right? Inside the Jets locker room. Well, this time we get a whole bunch of stuff about inside the coaching realm. When what just happened? Does anybody know what just took place recently?
They parted ways with Rex.
Well, they parted ways with Rex, but that was right. I think maybe he was a little bit of a leak. But Taylor Embry, the running backs coach, was let go. And then there was kind of a little bit publicized seeking of specific running back coaches, right? And we obviously hired one, but we were looking at Deuce Staley, and it was quite a few articles about his replacement. And there was very little fanfare. He was just kind of goodbye, nobody really gave a shit. And all of a sudden, an article comes out with inner stuff about the coaches, right? About what's going on in the coaching meetings. Now, I'm not going to say that nobody else said anything, but I'm going to tell you right now with confidence, Taylor Embry is at least a major part of this source, these 30 people in and around the Jets. So we have one guy in and 29 people around the Jets that who have opinions. An anonymous GM said, there's another one. An anonymous GM said that Joe Douglas or Aaron, how did he say it? How did she say it?
It's something along like Joe Douglas is the assistant GM.
Yeah, right. But she said Joe Douglas. Yeah, I said Aaron Rodgers isn't the assistant GM because they were pointing, Aaron Rodgers is the. Said Aaron Rodgers isn't the assistant GM. Joe Douglas is the assistant GM. So it's interesting because we already had Aaron Rodgers. So do you think that Aaron Rodgers, if he was the GM, let me just ask this question. And Jeremy, I'll ask you first, short answer. Do you think Aaron Rodgers would have taken Will McDonald with the number 1 draft pick last year as the GM?
No.
Dom, do you think Aaron Rodgers would have taken Will McDonald with the first pick?
No.
End of fucking story, everybody. Now, did we bring on guys that he wants to play with? Sure, of course. It always happens. It's like when you bring on coaches, they bring players, and Aaron Rodgers wanted to. No shit. We all know that. It's not a secret that he said, hey, I'd like to, these are guys. They probably said, hey, anybody you'd like from the Packers? Yeah, I really liked working with Lazard and blah, blah, blah. Cobby, come here. If Corey Davis doesn't retire, we're not seeing Cobb. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's like one of those things is like a lot of this shit. It's not as much devastating information as it seems. It's painted in such a way that it is. And it's not to say there's not truth in the article, but shit, we've been complaining about it for 18 weeks, everybody. We see this stuff with our own eyes. Robert Saleh on the sideline, not having any answers. We saw the Joe Beningo thing when, Joe Beningo came out and said Robert Saleh called to see if they were still friends, that kind of a thing after he kind of ripped him or whatever. Yeah, I mean, these are defects of our head coach. We know that already. We know Saleh's on thin ice. So the article, in my opinion, is really not that big of a deal. Dom, would you agree? I mean, is there anything else that stood out from the article that concerns you?
Listen, in full disclosure, I haven't even really gave it a full once over. I just caught bits and pieces from, listening to a Ryan show on the way to the practice, so on and so forth. I've just been completely separated from the whole mess. So I'm not the guy. I'm going to pass it to Jeremy because I'm not the guy to answer that.
Jeremy doesn't read. So there's that. Jeremy, anything else in the article? Did you read the full article?
No, I same thing, bits and pieces. We're running around here like lunatics.
Yeah, right. And that's fair. But so from what you've heard, anything standing out, anything else of concern that's going, oh shit, man, that better not be true.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I mean, it obviously we know that for some reason, Diana Russini, it seems as if I can't say it with certainty, but it seems as if she has a bone to pick with the Jets, the Jets organization, and Aaron Rodgers. Right. And I don't know. I don't know if Zach Rosenblatt falls in that same kind of realm, or he's just trying to get there. He's trying to get a leg up. I'm not saying I don't want to say that the story's fabricated because I haven't read it. I don't know anything. So I think that there's kind of some Diana Russini garbage that's been drudging up that doesn't want to settle. I think you said it best before when you said, she wanted the Zach thing and that kind of fell over real quick. And for whatever reason, she's got a bone to pick. I did see one part of the article where I thought it was interesting. For some reason, they acknowledged Aaron Rodgers' beef with who is it, Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, whichever one of those Jimmys. Like, what does that have to do with anything? If that doesn't show that it's a little stab at, hey, F you, Aaron, then right. I don't know what does,
Yeah, agreed. And I pick up the same thing. It's like it seems like there's an effort, again, a lot of this is who cares kind of stuff. But when you lump it all together and then connect it to the Zach Wilson thing and then connect it to the Jimmy Kimmel thing, it seems like there's this kind of cesspool. But look, I'm going to tell you right now, I reached out to somebody in the know and they said, hey, I never saw anything like that, So can't say 100%, but there's like the idea that Aaron Rodgers rubs the players wrong. I pick up the exact opposite. Now, again, we're not there every day. So like Dom said, we can't speak with certainty, but it seemed to me like Aaron Rodgers was an injection of positivity and elevation of goals and what they can accomplish and hopes and rubbing people the wrong way. When did that happen? When did that occur? So it seems like a big bunch of baloney.
Why would they have voted him the most inspiring player? Like the players voted him most inspirational, and he only played 4 snaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so there's that. Let's get into Papa Yeti. Thanks, buddy. He says, spent the last 30 minutes fixing stepmom's Wi-Fi. That's what I do. Love this effing chat. Trust these cats. What's NTWD? Anybody know that? Not the wiggly ding dong.
I have no idea.
The Tigo, what does that mean? NTWD. You don't know? Tigo's gonna know. He's the smartest.
Tigo's smart.
Yeah, and he's younger than me. So there's that. But he says reboot now, Xfinity. Well, yeah, so you're saying a simple reboot might be the end. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll restart it. I'm not gonna do it during the stream. But let me just say, Tagovailoa in the Shrine game, everybody, looking pretty sharp. I want to tell you, looking good, ran a touchdown in, got the 2-point conversion. So looking pretty sharp in the East-West Shrine Bowl. Exciting game. The West is currently up 14-3. But yeah, man, Papa Yeti, let me tell you something, dude. These chats have helped me on numerous occasions. There's a couple smart people, like 4 of you. The rest are a bunch of cavemen like me. But yeah, there's some good stuff. All right, so V-Man checking in. Feel like shit. Just found out I'm pre-diabetic. Oh, well, that's no good, V-Man. I mean, that's not the end. Pre-diet. Don't forget, that's pre. that means you have a chance to change it, everybody. I was at one time labeled pre-diabetic. I'm no longer. So you can feel down, but I'm going to tell you, I don't know, you intimately or anything, but I'm going to tell you a lot of this is just dietary, buddy. Take a look. Well, like I had to do, I had to look at what I was eating, and it turns out that moon pies and cheesesteaks and Doritos, it turns out it's not the healthiest diet, like I was told by my mother. But anyway, I hope you feel better, man. That's no good, and you take care of that, bud. And we're rooting for you, man. E-Boogie checking in. What's up, my friend? He says, hey, fellas, what is the worst case scenario if nothing goes as planned in free agency and all our hopes are on the draft? How much would the Jets sacrifice to win this year? Knock on wood. Interesting question. Now, this is a concern that a lot of Jets fans have expressed, which is that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are sort of lame ducky. They have one more year. So why not spend everything? Because if it doesn't work, they're out of a job anyway. If it works, then they can figure it out next year, what they have to do. But their concern is that maybe they use future resources and sacrifice the future for right now. Jeremy, what do you think? What's a worst case scenario if free agency doesn't go as planned? What do you think we'll see in the draft?
I think if the draft was right now, we didn't really add anyone or fill any holes. I think it just really puts handcuffs on us in the sense that it's going to be a tackle. It has to be, because you simply cannot go into the season without adding to that position. So that would be a must. And then we'd probably go wide receiver or some kind of weapon with our next pick. And I would expect defensive tackle, maybe even an interior lineman, with our 2 fourth rounders. I also don't think it's impossible, especially with the emergence of these tackles, that if there was a trade partner, I could imagine very easily the Pittsburgh Steelers coming to us and swapping spots with us and giving us a bunch of, second round pick and a bunch of other stuff, because they want to grab a guy like J.J. McCarthy. And then the Jets thinking, based on who's already picked, we believe either, Guyton or J.C. Latham are going to be there, and go that route, or Mims, and go that route and say, we'd rather have Guyton and a second round pick and whatever else we get than Fashanu. Or, one of the other guys.
Right. So what do you see, Dom? Like your worst case scenario, what do you think? And I liked how Jeremy did it. If the draft happened now, so and nothing changed. We weren't able to do anything. We lay a big egg. Nobody wants to come here. They believe we're a sinking ship. I'm going to go anywhere else but the Jets. What do you see? How much are they going to sacrifice? What's worst case scenario?
I mean, worst case scenario is if that was the case, if that was happening right here, right now, we wouldn't be picking at 10. I think, Jeremy kind of hit in the head. You'd have to figure out how to, go back and acquire more capital. It's just an unlikely. Worst case scenario would be, the season starts 0-4, everyone gets shit canned, and you're fighting for a pick next year. That's the worst case scenario. Trading back and accumulating as much capital as possible would be the only answer, and it's an interesting one, right? It's an interesting one because the Jets have, we know what we have at the tackle position, but there's still more holes on this team, and right now we only have 5-6 picks: first, second, 2 fourths, and 2 sixths. So we have 6 picks right now. It's just not going to be enough. So you'd have to either dip into next year's capital or just, keep trading back, New England style and accumulating as many, mid to late round picks as you can to fill holes. And that's not ideal. That's a recipe for, the unemployment line for Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, and staff.
Yeah. I could see the Jets, E-Boogie. I can see them maybe using something from next year to kind of jump up. But I don't see a complete. I don't think Woody would let it happen. I know I hate to say this, but I think Woody's not going to let them kind of throw caution to the wind, in my opinion. Like, using next year's first and second to what I just don't. And I don't think Joe Douglas hasn't shown us that he would do that. He's the opposite of that. Just like he's not going to, like, think about this. Like, Joe Douglas could theoretically be interviewing for his next job right now. Really. So is he going to show the entire NFL world that, if you put my back against the wall, I will screw your franchise for years? You know what I mean? Like, is that what he's going to show? No, he's going to show that, hey, if he needs to spend more money, which I think he does. I mean, I think while I've loved how Joe Douglas kind of took us from this always up against the cap kind of, terrible contracts, whether it's Anunwa, Le'Veon Bell, Tremaine Johnson, all the contracts that we've seen over the years that were just ridiculous, didn't need to happen. And it took us back for years. We had to pay for it for a long time. Don't forget, last year, the last thought was the first year Joe Douglas didn't have McCagnon dead money on the books. So, that's what. So I've really enjoyed watching him kind of clean it up. At the same time, I think we got to find some middle ground here because he's frugal to a fault. And I think like we've lost out on guys over the years for that $1 or $2 million. Like Joe Douglas likes to say it, the way he has said it in interviews is we're going to be aggressive to the point that we feel we're being reckless. And we're not going to dip into being reckless. Yeah. And I like that as an overall mindset. At the same time, every now and then you got to, if the guy is the guy, you got to get the guy. And if you got to pay a little bit more, you pay a little bit more. The cap goes up every year. You'll deal with it. You'll figure it out. Just get the guy that you need for the team. Don't be like, we'll get, instead of this guy, we'll get Wes Schweitzer. It's like, no, that's not the same, man. So we have to really go out there. I think, E-Boogie, that free agency, we can't lay an egg in free agency. We can't. And, and we'll talk about this. It's one of the things that I think Tigo and I are going to discuss in greater detail on Wednesday. But I think that you have to look at what free agency is offering you right now. So where you spend your money is what the strength is in any particular area, right? So this offseason, as it looks right now, and it can change, but the wide receiver market, which happens to be a need for us, seems to be one of the more robust areas of this free agent period. So you go out there hard and heavy and you get your number one guy, whoever that is. If it's T. Higgins, if it's Mike Evans, if it's Pittman, if it's Tyler Boyd, whoever your guy is that you think you need, you make sure you get him. You do everything that you can to bring him in. Once that's done, then you go back to all right, for the next guy, we can do this, and we kind of balance around with tier 2, tier 3, and you kind of save your money there. But you go out and you get your guy. And if that means you pay an extra $2 million a year, you pay the extra $2 million a year and you figure it out later rather than going, shit, we lost out. We didn't want to be reckless. Well, what was the difference? It was $2.3 million. Well, fuck that. Get it. Just pay them. So I think that we got to do that. I do think that we need to get at least a tackle in free agency. You can't go into the draft with what we have now. We can't. You can't show that level of desperation. Would you agree, Dom?
Yeah, I agree. And I think listen, I don't think that they're going to be, I could be completely wrong on this. This is my gut, but I don't think that they're going to be hot and heavy on the big name free agent tackles that are out there for a couple reasons. One, I don't think it's that plentiful, right? When I'm talking big names, I'm talking Tyron Smith from Dallas, Michael Onwenu from New England. Who's the cat, the right tackle from Cincinnati? His name's skipping my mind right now.
Jonah Williams is going to be.
Jonah Williams. That's it. Jonah Williams. I don't think that we're going to be shopping in that bin. To be honest, I think that And really, those are probably the best of the best in the free agency pool. Maybe a couple names you might differ with it. But those guys are going to be, 16, 18, maybe not Tyron Smith because he's a little older, $16, $18 million a year. So you're paying higher than market value for what the product that you're going to get. So I think you're going to look to backfill some depth pieces at the tackle position and hone in on where your money could be spent wisely. Because right now, I know, right now we're up against cap. I know that it's, not too hard to, make some more room. We can easily get up to, $50,000 or $60,000 with a couple renegotiations and adjustments in contracts, but you're going to have to pay that piper at some point. So I don't know how much you want to do of that. On top of that, you're going to have, after next year, I believe Aaron Rodgers, 60 something million comes on the books. They're going to have to figure out how to do that. He might not even be on roster by that point. So I think we're going to be I think you're going to be not bargain shopping, but you're not going to see the big names. I don't expect there to be any big splashes. You said Tyler Boyd. I think that's that's the kind of big name that you're going to hear. Tyler Boyd, Curtis Samuels, that level of receivers are probably going to be the guys that you go after, and and then you're going to have to hit the draft, man. You're going to have to really hit your picks this year. Like this draft is going to be vital for the lifeline of Joe Douglas.
Yeah. Well said, man. Now, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to say this now. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it clearly right here. Tyler Boyd is a number 2 wide receiver. The fact that he's number 3 is because T. Higgins and Jamar Chase they're studly. And the fact that T. Higgins isn't a number 1 is because Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase. That's my honest belief. Now, T. Higgins, he missed, I believe it was 4 games this year. I have some ankle, I forget, whatever it might have been. And still had just about 700 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, he would have been a 1,000-yard receiver again. And so I don't know. I think I would love to see us grab a T. Higgins. Best case for me, man, would be just go to the Bengals bin and go, I want you. Just go ahead and grab T. Higgins, grab Tyler Boyd, grab Jonah Williams, pay whatever you got to pay. The thing is with Jonah Williams that he's going to make more money than he's worth this year because it's so thin that he's going to be the premium guy. When in a year where maybe some tackles are out there, he's the 4th, kind of a guy. He's going to get that premium contract. So you got to make that decision. Do we want to pay a non-premium money because he is solid and he's better than what we've had here a long time? I don't know. But I would be delighted if the Jets just said, you know what? We just signed T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jonah Williams. I'd be like, woo, get it done, man. Just get it done, And then we can go into the draft with some cool heads. You know what I'm saying?
What we have to remember also is that, before free agency, before March 1st, when all the teams have to become cap compliant, there's going to be a lot more names flooded into the market. So what we're looking at now that as available free agents aren't going to be what will be available when free agency opens up. So the teams have to get compliant by March 1st. Free agency opens, March 15th? So there's going to be that wiggle room of guys that get cut or that are cap casualties for their team that all of a sudden, jump the pecking order in the guys want. So there could be another tackle or 2 that comes out. There could be a shit ton of wide receivers that come out. Like right off the bat, I know he's a little bit old, but I think of a guy like Keenan Allen. The Chargers are a hot mess when it comes to the salary cap. And right now, they have $50 million locked in as cap hits between Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. So, that's just the guy that came to the top of my head, but we're going to see a lot of guys get jostled free. You have holes at tackle or, I'll say offensive line. Obviously we know there's a big hole. There's holes at the skill positions, the wide receivers. And there's holes that need to be plugged on the defense. So you're not going to fix all those in free agency, right? You're going to have to figure out which one is the best bang for the buck and maybe address that one and utilize the draft and the secondary wave of free agency to backfill the rest.
Yeah. Well, let me say this too, real quick. I know it's a sidebar, but I just saw a Shriners commercial on the Shrine Bowl. You think that's by design?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really good.
That is the
Shrine Bowl, right?
Yeah, the
But
Shrine Bowl.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's like I'm like, oh, look at that. You make these connections sometimes. Look at Rusty Spooner is back to being Rusty Spooner, Jeremy, which is nice. I like it. Return of the Jedi, all the things. He's had a few incarnations, but Rusty Spooner, what's that little M80 in front of him there? You know what that is? Remember those, Dom? We used to play with those in Lake Hiawatha. I'll tell you what, it was a big thing where Dom and I grew up. We had this place. Dom, were you too young to hang out on Sports Island? Did you ever go and hang out on?
No, absolutely. I was.
Do you remember the vine, like the vine that we used to swing on into the river?
Sure.
Yeah, Jimmy Evans used to climb up there every year and hang it up there. But so we used to, Sports Island, guys. So Lake Hiawatha, where Dom and I grew up, real quick, is this place. So like years and years ago, Lake Hiawatha was this lake town. And Dick Clark, our claim to fame, a couple claims to fame. We had Dick Clark had a house there. Also, Jane Krakowski was born. I remember her.
National Lampoon's fame, guys. If you don't know,
and 30 Rock, right? So she National Lampoon. She had the best line ever. My daddy says I'm the best French kisser. That's the fucking best. Oh my God, way ahead of its time. That was some risque shit, man, back then. But I actually remember Jane Krakowski as a little kid. She was there for a very brief time. It was right before National Lampoon's Vacation. But anyway, so what happened is the lake kind of dried up, and they had this island that it had baseball fields on it and basketball courts and all this stuff, and they just let nature kind of take it over. And then there was like these bridges, and they left this steel girder bridge, but they took off like the ability to drive over it. So it was just the steel, and we would just walk over as kids. So our whole town, we just took it over, and there were all kinds of pockets. We had dirt bike trails, and we had fire pits, and we would go there and smoke our weed. But one of the things we used to do all the time, every year, man, we would get like bags of M80s and Blockbusters, and we would just sit there and drink and get high, and we would throw Blockbusters and M80s into the water and boom, and blow up it was like, I don't know, very fond memory, Rusty Spooner. So you brought me back there. But yeah, that was like, nobody bothered us on sport. The cops never, not one. I've been there 500 times, not one cop ever. You could do whatever you wanted on Sports Island, man. They left us alone. It was really kind of magical, Dom, if you think back.
Yeah. You could definitely hide a body there, and no one would give a shit.
No doubt. The kid, we'd find it and go, oh man, that sucks. You're like, leave it. Don't go over there. Paul's dead. But anyway, so yeah. So I don't know, man. I think and Rusty's saying JD is a stud GM. I also see another comment. Where was it here? I want to just say, all right, so Freedom House 1984 says our roster is night and day better than it was before JD. And this is what we have to remember. Like JD, and I have major problems with the 2023 offseason. I didn't like it the whole time. I thought we were dragging our feet. I thought we were kind of, hey, we're good. We're very lackadaisical. So it was very chill, like we were good. All we needed was a quarterback. And I didn't see that as the case. Like, we just needed some trimmings. I see, no, this offense, we needed some bolstering. The year before, we had so many offensive line injuries, and we just kind of went back with pretty much the same group. And it was concerning. But that said, like, the idea that on September 11th, we were looked at as a viable Super Bowl contender, the NFL gave us so many primetime games. That was for a reason, man. And not just because Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers went to a team with no talent, nobody's batting an eyelash at that. He'll raise a little, but there's nobody there. He's not going to do anything. He went to a team that was missing a quarterback in many respects. But the idea that we were that is JD. That's the thing. So, we have to remember that. And then, like, even with Saleh, which I have a lot of problems with Saleh, but you can't deny the defense. You just can't deny it. Like, it's exceptional. Now, the fact that the offense is so bad is such a tragedy as far as sports are concerned, because we're nullifying this amazing defense that he's built. But that's him. Like, you have to know that that's him. So that's what he does. And it's a shame that the offense is the way it is, but you can't, to throw all this out when it's like and the offense even has guys like Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and Ruckert and Tippmann and AVT. Like, there are guys here, like high level guys that we could just infuse. Like, if we were to be able to get, let's just say hypothetically, we get a Jonah Williams, a Tyler Boyd, and a Fuaga in the draft, you know what I mean? And then maybe a McConkey, or you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, dude, we're a different team. And then in the fourth, you get a JJ or a Taylor from Florida State. You bring him in, and then you get a guard, with your second, fourth, or something like that. Now we're a completely different team. I don't think we're that far away. And we got to remember, even though it feels bad and this season sucked, it was very much a repeat of 2022. But a lot of that is because of, in my opinion, dude, and I know I don't want to engage this one. But, dude, I watched the film. A lot of it is because our quarterback is just hot garbage. And not to say there weren't other issues, okay? The offensive play calling, yes, there's an issue there. The offensive line, yes, there's an issue there. The clock management, yes, there's an issue there. But our number one issue was we did not have a quarterback that can see the field and get the ball to where it needed to go when the options were right there in front of his face. And that's a shame. Luppy, OU812, the Van Halen fan, I imagine. JD is on the clock. What's his first move in free agency? Jeremy, tampering period is open. 5 minutes in. What's the report? What's the first report we hear that Joe Douglas does?
No, I think
I got a good answer.
Tom's ready, Jeremy, if you got to think.
Hurry up. I think that we are going to I think, do they usually release the guys at that time? Or
no, that's already done.
Yeah, I think the first signing might very well be Boyd, a Tyler Boyd, or a wide receiver like that, one of the wide receivers that we've named. That might be the first thing we hear.
Boyd.
And I agree with Dom C. I don't think that he hasn't been a hard hitter in getting the top names. He likes to find like kind of those value guys. So it's more likely to be a Boyd than anything, that kind of level guy. I don't know if he'll be available right then at that time, but if he was Keenan Allen, I could see us doing that. And some kind of value kind of move.
All right, Dom's chomping.
Oh,
so Jeremy says value move.
There's no doubt in my mind about this. I love Jeremy. Jeremy, we love you, just like Ulbrich.
We do. We love Jeremy, and Jeremy loves Ulbrich.
He's wrong. If you're going to learn from your mistakes, the first thing in the tampering period, you're going to have locked in either Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor, one of those one of those veteran quarterbacks who, in case your 40-year-old quarterback gets hurt again or isn't fully ready or re-injures or can't come back from that Achilles, you're going to have somebody ready there, understanding the system as soon as possible so that your season doesn't slowly trickle down the toilet and you're not, at the doorstep of Tim Boyle again or Chris Streveler. Backup quarterback, a veteran one, someone in that $5 to $10 million range is going to be should be the first call. If the Jets learn from their mistakes, which smart, responsible, good-headed people do, you'll learn from your mistakes. That's the first move that you're going to make.
You're right. That should be the first move.
Hey, say it again.
That should be the first move.
Jeremy concedes. Jeremy bows before Dom's clearly stronger masculine presence in the room. Jeremy has recognized the superiority, and Dom is now right. That's what Jeremy says. So,
well, specifically because they can't afford to have him go. They can't have a bad season. They can't have a repeat. So if Rodgers goes down, their jobs are gone if they didn't secure a good quarterback, a veteran quarterback.
yeah. Let's see what we got here. So, all right, we're gonna. Gary Peters says you guys are doing a great job at the Senior Bowl. So we're gonna pull up a few. Yeah, right. Then you go ahead. You guys deserve it, man. You guys are doing a great job. I want you to know that. So thank you, Gary, for saying that. Jeremy, you want to thank Gary?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, now, so what was I wanted to say one more thing, but then we're gonna get into some interviews and clips from the Senior Bowl. There was one more thing I wanted to talk. Oh, Bryce Huff. Okay. Now, I don't want to get too nuts because Tigo and I are rearing for to go head to head. Tigo and I are at odds. Right. Exactly. He's doing this right now. Yeah, Tigo and I are, and we're going to bring Tigo on the last like 15, 20 minutes of the show so he can chime in a little bit. But if you're okay with that, Tigo, I know you got math homework. All right, good. So, we're at odds. All right. And I'm not going to share my thoughts, but I want to get Jeremy and Dom's ideas on this Bryce Huff thing. First thing, Dom, I'll go to you first this time.
Okay.
First things first, do you see a path to Bryce Huff being on the New York Jets in 2024? Depending on your answer, if the answer is no, what do you see as the likely scenario taking place?
Do I see a path that he's on the Jets? Yes, I see a path.
Realistic path. I mean.
Yeah, a realistic path. I think that there is listen, and the path is that I think the path's been already drawn and paved already. Bryce Huff has vocalized his intent, right? He wants to, in essence, he didn't say it in this many words, very close, but it's time for him to get paid. Bryce Huff was an undrafted free agent, minimal, if any, signing bonus at all. Has been playing on a 3 years on a ridiculously low contract that he has outplayed probably tenfold. He's ready to finally get what's his. Do I think that the Jets can re-sign him? I absolutely do. Do I think that the Jets should re-sign him? I do. Do I think that the Jets won't re-sign him? I do. I think that I think there's a path to get it done. It might be at the cost of other, kind of higher tier level free agents, or maybe at the cost of some, current players that we weren't expecting of maybe moving on from, this year. But I think it can get done. I don't think it's out of the question. And yes, I would do it. But my gut right now is kind of leaning that it won't happen. And unfortunately, I think the end result of that is going to be him walking in free agency with the Jets getting one of those on the way out the door, because as an undrafted free agent, he won't even qualify in the, for a comp pick in 2025.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Jeremy, how do you see it, buddy?
I think there is a path. I agree with Dom, and it's going to come, but it would come at a cost. And that cost would be either free agents that we want, things that we want, like receiver or tackle or anything like that. Or possibly the release of Laken Tomlinson. I think that's something you'd see. If we kept Huff, I think you can almost guarantee that would mean Laken is gone, and we would eat like $9 million or $10 million, but we'd save $8 million at the same time in the cap space. So it would mean there would be compromises for sure. What I think is going to happen is I think Huff will not play for the Jets anymore. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think there's a path for it to happen. My hope is, to me, it would be absolutely criminal if we don't find a way to get some suitors and do a tag and trade kind of thing and get something for him, to get a second round pick. I could swallow and digest losing Huff if we get a second round pick. If we lose him and get nothing in return, to me, that is the most disastrous scenario, and I think that would be a failure on JT's part.
But can I counterpoint that though? Because that would be ideal. If we're not going to keep him, that would be the ideal situation. However, the tag is, and I don't know what it is for an edge. Somebody can, Tigo or somebody out there who's, has that information, but it's north of $20 million, $23 million, something along those lines. Tigo says 19 plus. You have to account for that in your budget. You can't even go to free agency or to the draft with that. You have to account for that before you get to the draft, right? So Huff doesn't want to get tagged. Huff wants long-term. He wants long-term security. So there's nothing that says he doesn't have to sign that tag until July 31st, right? So you can tag him. You have to account for that $20+ million. And then what if he says, well, screw you. I'm not agreeing to anything. I'm not signing anything. I'm not agreeing to you can try to trade me, but I don't have to do, anything.
My hope would there would be a
totally right. I know
agreement. But like maybe there's a few teams very interested because it's edge.
Yeah.
And one of the team wants the inside track and negotiating a contract with them.
Right.
What happened with Tyreek Hill, where it's all decided and agreed upon.
Yeah.
A great comp for this scenario, not necessarily money or whatever or compensation, is Frank Clark, right? So remember the Frank Clark, I believe it was Seattle, if I remember. I'm pretty sure. But it was very contentious. He's like, I'm not playing, I'm not signing, the whole thing. But they had him. They had him tagged, and it was, while that was going on, it was very contentious. It was very ugly-ish, and it seemed like it wasn't going to work out. And then people started talking about, well, Seattle's losing their leverage because they know that Frank Clark's not going to play for them this year. What'd they do? They sent them to the Chiefs for a first-round pick. It's like, you just got to be patient, and you got to just have that open line of communication. Don't forget, the Jets developed Bryce Huff. Now, if he's going to stay with the Jets, which I don't think is going to happen, they're going to have to tell him, we will use you as an every down defensive end. That's what he wants. They're not going to do it. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm not going to show too much of my hand because I'm going to fucking drop bombs on Tigo's fucking face on Wednesday night. I got ammo, baby, and I'm not going to show my hand. But just to talk about the Jets thing, the Jets are not going to do that. But other teams are absolutely going to be willing to take this guy and watch his literal year by year by year progression upward. His stock has gone up. His production, it's a steady incline. There's no reason to believe that he's not going to continue. And I think teams are absolutely going to be willing, rather than using a second round pick on a prospect. You have no idea what they're going to end up being. You know what Bryce Huff's going to be. A second round pick, no big deal. And I think that teams are going to be willing to say, absolutely, we're willing. We know what you're going to give us on second and third down and passing downs. We already know that. That's a lock. We're willing to take the risk on first down and give you what you want. I don't see that as an issue, but I do agree. The Jets have Jermaine Johnson. We got JFM. We used a number 1 pick on Will McDonald, who has flashed, man. I think that they misused. They should have absolutely, last 3 or 4 games of the year, he should have been on that field all day just so you can see what you have. But they didn't. Yet we still saw enough. We saw, I think in some respects, similar to the flashes that Huff showed his rookie year, kind of like, we might have something here. So anyway, I think, once they drafted Will McDonald, I think that the writing was on the wall. I would be blown away if Huff decided to stay with the Jets. That all said, I don't think it's a contentious situation. You just sit down with him. You go, dude, we get it. We're with you. We gave you the $5 million last year. We're told you have every right. We can't do it with what's going on. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to protect you. We're going to protect it by tagging you. but we're going to tell you which teams are interested, and we're going to try to work it out and do all that. We have to get something, and but we're not going to hold you prisoner. We're not, you just have that. It happens all the time, and they're going to be able to take care of it. So I see that. I don't think it's going to be, this with the Jets and Bryce Huff. So I tend to agree with Jeremy, and therefore I think Dom C is dumb. So let's get to William Sprague. Hello, Dom. Who is more pro-ready, ALR, Fashanu, or Foul?
I'm assuming that's Alt, Fashanu, or
yeah,
Fuanga?
Yeah, Alt, Fashanu, or who's Foul?
Fuanga.
But
and I do want to let you know, because we found out here, by him directly, by his word of mouth, we've been completely hacking up his name by calling him Talisi Fuaga. His name is Talise Fuanga.
There's an N in there.
Talise Fuanga. There's no N in the name, but the pronunciation has an N. Yeah. Talise Fuanga. So I'll still call him Talise Fuaga because that's just what is normal. But so let me answer the question for William. Who's more pro ready? I think Alt is more pro ready. I think Alt is the most pro ready. I think Alt has cemented himself. Barring, listen, there's still time to go, but right now, I think that Alt is offensive tackle number one, and then there's a gap. And the gap is pretty big between offensive one and offensive tackle two. So I think Alt is offensive tackle one, and then there's a group of guys like Fashanu and Fuanga and Latham and others, and I think that group is coming a lot closer. I've said it for a while now. Jeremy knows, and GreenBean knows, and Tigo knows. Like I think the gap between Fashanu and some of the other tackles is a lot smaller than we really think. So I think Alt, to answer William's question, I think Alt's the most pro ready. He might not have the highest ceiling of all of them, but I definitely think he's the most ready and definitely has the highest floor.
There you go. So good question, William. And he's clarifying down here. I see some clarification. Where was it? Irving is Fuaga. Oh, couldn't for So thank you for that clarification, William. That helps us a great deal. Don't sweat, William. I think we got it, man. Look, we get it, man. Everybody, look, Stud City says they think he means Alf. That's what he's talking. So, do you think Alf would be a good signing, a good pick? Don't worry. We play. I do it all the time, man. I do it all the time, dude. Like my typos, I'm like famous because I move fast, like at work in particular. And I have gotten it. Well, I'll tell you one quickie. There happened to be a woman that she was a sweetheart. I had a great relationship with her, but she was on the overweight side. And one time I just texted real fast and my friggin' autocorrect, dude, I don't know where it came from, but I said, no problem. And it wrote tubby. And I sent it. Tubby. Like who? I've never even written the word tubby. So, hey, it happens, man. Shit happens. I said, oh my God, I am just so sorry. Rusty Spooner talking about Jordan Morgan. Real quick before we get into the clips. Dom's Rusty, interestingly enough, Dom has a few words on Jordan Morgan as far as the Senior Bowl is concerned. Dom, let Rusty know what you're seeing.
I'm going to say this. I was very, very high on Jordan Morgan's 2023 game film. It was one of the guys that I really liked, and I did. He kind of left a lot of meat on the bone, kind of didn't really fulfill the level of prospect that I saw on tape these past 3 days in practice. A bit underwhelming for me. Now, in fairness, a lot of these guys haven't, they're not in tip-top football shape. And day one especially, a lot of these guys were just a step off or a little slow and so on and so forth. Jordan Morgan had a decent day today. He had a better day. But repeatedly in one-on-one reps, he was a step slow all week long. Didn't really handle some of the higher end pass rushers very well. A guy that I was a little bit disappointed in this week, for sure.
Stock down.
Stock down.
Rusty.
Stock down a little bit. For
Yeah,
sure.
and I'll tell you,
he's not the only one. There's a couple guys that I was a lot higher on. I was expecting to really take that next step. Kingsley Suamatea, the tackle from BYU, was pretty bad. He just did not play well at all. So Jordan Morgan wasn't alone. And again, It's only 3 days, so it doesn't really mean anything.
Right, you're right. It's like it is something, right? There's value, up or down. It's like it's an interesting thing. Like when people are up, we go, "Oh man, and then they're down and go, no big deal." But it's like, but there's a balance in there. It's not the end of the world. I think Ulbrich, with Jeremy's question that he asked him, if you guys didn't see Jeremy's interview with Jeff Ulbrich, his 30-minute expose that he got Ulbrich to sit down for. It was really cool, but he said, this is the beginning of the evaluation process. A lot of people say just that, the draft starts in Mobile. That's a great saying that I've, for many years have kind of, we all kind of dance around and we do shit for the offseason. Dom he's doing the offseason before game one for next year. So we're not all doing that, but in my years of kind of doing, it's right around the Senior Bowl is when I start really digging in, maybe a little bit before, so I can know who's in the Senior Bowl in a couple weeks. But this is where it gets heavy for me. So my draft season kind of really gets deeper from the Senior Bowl on. So a lot of people say that the draft starts at Senior Bowl. So it's the beginning. It's the beginning of the process. It's not good news, but it's not the end of the world. Now. I will say Suamatea, I actually like the tape that I've seen on him. I watched half of a full game with him, like a half an actual game, and I watched some other stuff. But I like the player, but I don't like BYU, dude. I don't like it anymore. I'm done with BYU.
He just showed that he was still very, very raw in technique and stuff, hand placement, well out wide. I mean, he held on just about every one-on-one rep. And listen, they didn't really get to show too much, at least the offensive linemen. They didn't really get to show too much athleticism. They really weren't asked to. Again, if you're not familiar with Senior Bowl, I mean, these guys run as vanilla an offense as there is. There's nothing crazy, nothing special. Most everything is gap scheme, just blocking your man in front of you. There's no crazy. There's not a lot of zone blocking schemes, maybe a couple inside zone, outside zone runs, so on and so forth. But everything is very vanilla. So the tackles weren't, the offensive linemen weren't asked to really show their athleticism outside of what they can do, when the pressure's on in those one-on-one situations. And if anything, Suamatea showed that he still was very, very raw. There's two guys that came in that I had tagged, as ridiculous athletes, fit, check all the boxes in regards to, height, weight, size, all the measurements are gonna fill those out, just like elite level athletes, but still like to see what they do because they're a little bit raw. And that was Kingsley Suamatea from BYU and Tyler Guyton. And they couldn't have been on two opposite sides of the spectrum, Now, Guyton wasn't perfect. There was definitely reps that he lost, but there was a lot of reps that he was just flat out dominant. One of the guys during the Senior Bowl process who got the biggest buzz around him. So much so that he didn't even practice today. As a matter of fact, I think he's leaving town.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, I want to point out, Mo Dean is saying that Bo Nix has looked terrible. So I'll just real quick show this clip. This is Bo Nix looking less than terrible. So just take a look real quick. No sound, of course. Here we go. There you go. Yeah. There you go, Mo Dean. That was for you.
Well, and to that GreenBean, I'm going to add, I'm not going to say he was terrible, but I don't think he was great. But in fairness, I don't think any of the quarterbacks were, which was a little disappointing because last year the level of quarterback, the quality of quarterback was putrid. If you Jake Hayner was probably the best quarterback there, and And Christ, what was he, a 6th-round pick? You had guys that are, arguably, day 1, day 2 guys going, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And we got a little insider tip there from somebody who, he talked to Joe Melton during one of the interviews, and they were told flat out, the coaches didn't want them to, everything was to be checked down, no big plays during the 11-on-11s, nothing crazy. Not to say that they're holding it for the game, but everything was, they had training wheels on them. So that play right there, that little rollout dump off, that's all we really saw. Outside of the one-on-ones with the receivers and the cornerbacks, that's when you saw the quarterbacks lighten it up. I thought Bo Nix today had his best day. He in the red zone series, he went 3 for 4 with 3 touchdowns. One was a beautiful throw. Brendan Rice in the corner kind of mossed the cornerback. He jumped up, reached over the top of him, took the ball from him, toe tapped and got in. So I think he had a good red zone series. But all in all, all the quarterbacks were very underwhelming.
They were to me, almost invisible based on the reps that they ran. They didn't have enough reps. They didn't do enough drills. Certainly not enough drills where they had the whole field so you could see, the whole route tree. Nothing like that. So
they were in 11-on-11 drills. And GreenBean, you remember, there was no shot plays whatsoever. The longest pass in the true 11 versus 11, full speed reps. They were, little hooks and little dump offs and screen passes and so on and so forth. There was nothing pushed vertically at all.
It was almost felt like they were. It almost felt like you're watching batting practice of the baseball game, and they were the guys that were just throwing the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the feel.
Yeah. Right. Yep. I get it. That's a good analogy, man. That's pretty good. Okay. So let's bring up a couple of interviews. Now, this first one here, thank you, Tigo. Oh, you know what? Let's bring Tigo on real quick as well. If you're good, you clear? Okay. So Talking Jets with Tigo, hanging out with us on the Thursday thick of it. As I mentioned earlier, Tigo and I are going to be doing a show together weekly on the Talking Jets channel, which is Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Armchair GM. I'm excited about that. How you doing, Tigo? You're all done with your math?
Yeah, man. Gotta love derivatives.
Indeed, we all do. I know Jeremy does. Jeremy loves a good derivative. So this is, I believe, Rutgers player, right there,
Max
Dom?
Melton.
Yes, Max Melton, Rutgers cornerback. Definitely a guy that stood out. I mean, he had a phenomenal week. Really good. Really good play all 3 days.
I heard so many guys talking about him, a lot of the people that were watching, and the word of the day for him was sticky.
Yep.
That was the word.
Sticky. Oh, sticky. Now, Dom, we don't have to get to, I'm just going to mention this and then we'll get an interview. Dom is a believer that the Jets will, in fact, draft a cornerback in this draft, and maybe a little higher than we want to see.
Yep.
I don't want one. That's just straight up. I don't want it. If you're going to draft a defensive back, let's get a pure safety. Stop with the cornerback to safety projects. We have enough. We have Converse in the house already working on that. We did it with Pinnock and let him go. We have Tony Adams. We lost Trey Dean. Anyway, so let's take a listen to this. Tigo, if you wouldn't mind.
I got you. Hey, Dom C here with Talking Jets, here with Rutgers cornerback Max Melton. Yes, sir. Max, how's it feel to be back on the field?
Man, it feels great. I ain't touched the field since dang near Thanksgiving. Opted out of bowl game, so I ain't get to play in late December. But it's just a great feeling. Put the helmet back on, pads back on. I'm out here with the guys. It's the best of the best here in Mobile. So, you're going to come out here and compete. And even though this is our first practice, I feel like we've been practicing with each other for years now. So, it's a good feeling out here.
Give us your thoughts so far. I know it's been limited. Tell us about your experience with Coach Brick. Coach Ulbrich. Your head coach for the national team.
Oh, yeah. Nah, he's great. No, we call him something else. I was like, we're going great. But, he's energetic. Our first team meeting yesterday, he laid out the team rules. It's just three simple things. You should be able to follow them, no doubt. But I promise you, he will get you ready to run through a brick wall any second of the day. It was my first time even seeing him, first time knowing who he was. But then 30 seconds of the meeting, everybody was ready to go pull on pads and run through something.
Talk to us about your skill set. What's the one thing that you want to show all the people on that side, the scouts and the coaches and all that, what's the one thing that you want them leaving here to say, man, that Max Melton
can cover anybody. He can cover anybody no matter how fast they are, how physical they are. And he can be in the box. He can hit someone for sure. I'm not afraid to hit anybody. I'll hit anybody any time of the day. So I can cover and hit.
Press, off, what's your preference?
Off. I like being patient. Let them see what they're going to do, and I just like to jump in. Whatever.
One last question, because I'm a Jersey boy.
Yeah.
Is it Taylor ham or is it pork roll?
It's pork roll, man.
Yeah, that's why you got.
That's
to go to the Jets. That's why you got to go to the Jets.
Yes, sir. Good luck. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, that was fun. So that's what you guys were referencing earlier, right? Organically, I forgot. So that's great. That was beautiful. Well done. I obviously disagree, but that's fine. Dom, you're Taylor Ham, though, aren't you?
I'm Taylor Ham all the way.
I
wasn't gonna show him up or anything.
You're gonna go, that's wrong.
Yeah.
What a great interview, man. And I can't tell you, there were some guys last year that, just in the conversation, you all of a sudden go, you know what? I like this guy. I like the way I like the energy. I like the feel. I like the number one comment that stood out to me, right? I can cover anybody, but even more so, I ain't afraid to hit. What'd you think about that, Tom? What was your take on Melton's interview there?
No, listen. I mean, he was, that kind of charisma or spunk that he talked to me to. He talked to every single person, whether they're part of the media, whether it was his agent, whether it was a coach, whether it was another player. Like, you can just see that that kid is happy. He's in his happy place on the football field, and not only that. His play kind of mimicked that attitude as well. Like, he was all over the field. He's a guy. He would come in and make a big pass breakup and get the crowd going and so on and so forth. And then he would do the same thing when his teammate did it. Just a ball full energy. Like I said, he had a really, really good week, man. Max Melton did a lot of he did a lot of good for himself for sure. Now with the combine coming up, I'm sure he'll get an invite, and it's going to be vital to if he ends up sneaking into day 2, or if he's somebody that's going to probably still stick around that late 3rd or early 4th range where I originally kind of had him pegged, but he showed that he can play and he can hang with the big boys. So if he went in the late 2nd round or the 3rd round, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
That's amazing. I love seeing, I have to admit, I love seeing Rutgers guys kind of break out of the, the box of late round. I love seeing Rutgers guys kind of creep up into the conversation. All right. We have a real quick though. I'll get your thoughts on this. We have a couple super chats here. Where did it go? Okay. So, the big fella checking in. He says, for God's sake, no Joe Melton. I watched him all year. I don't care. He had the longest throw at the Senior Bowl. Jeremy, any thoughts on Joe Melton?
I don't see Joe Melton. I mean, maybe he'll be a backup quarterback in the NFL, later round pick. Quarterback is obviously a dart throw. So I'm not going to sit there and say it's impossible. But he's definitely not a guy I'm eyeing for that. I'm not, especially this year with all the great quarterbacks that are coming out.
Dom, real quick, is he the guy that you'd want to use your 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th on?
I mean, 4th, no. 4th, no. 5th, 6th, 7th, sure. I mean, I'll take a dart and see what happens. But listen, it's hard to really gauge the quarterbacks. Even the guys like Bo Nix and Michael Penix. Michael Pratt, it was hard to really gauge them here because of just the limitations that they had on them and the vanilla offenses that they were running. So, based off of Joe Melton's film, is he draft worthy? Yes. Am I, jumping at the bit to have him on the Jets? No.
Tigo, real quick, William Sprague checking in. He wants to know, when you is around $8 million. Is he a guy you want to bring over from an AFC East rival?
I think he fits all the boxes of a Joe Douglas type of guy in terms of can play multiple positions on the offensive line. He's played right tackle, he's played right guard, and all of that stuff. I think I think he fits the mold of what Joe Douglas wants in an offensive tackle, like big, athletic, can play multiple positions across the offensive line, can play inside and outside. And especially in a year that's so important, I think flexibility is going to be the best thing, because I think we're really going to just throw out the best 5 offensive linemen, whatever that is, wherever they end up, like that's how it's going to play. And having multiple guys being able to play multiple places on the offensive line is going to be a big help. We saw how hamstrung we were with the whole Dwayne Brown not being able to move like at all. He was going to be a left tackle, and he's only a left tackle. And so, yeah, I think Onwenu fits that type of mold of what JD would want in an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a scheme fit though. I mean, he's more of a power, gap blocker. I don't know how well he moves to handle, the zone blocking scheme. I agree that he's the type of guy that I think Joe Douglas will want to target in regards to age and salary and skill level, kind of, all being in the same. But I just don't, if scheme fit means anything to the Jets pro personnel department, I don't know if he's the guy for us.
Maybe that's why they fired Rex Hogan. Maybe he was like talking about, maybe that's a problem. He's bringing guys in that can't. He's like, oh, this is the guy, and he's not going to work in the scheme. Who knows, right? Maybe it's good to get rid. You look at Rex Hogan's departure as our assistant GM. How good has he done, really? Right. So we're good. Real quick, I want to just say I see Mo talking about Bo Nix. It doesn't matter what Bo Nix looks like up or down, because we're not taking him. He's going in the first, like him or not. In my opinion, I think he's going to be a first-round pick. We're not taking a first-round quarterback, so don't sweat it. We're going to be fine. Now, we have another interview here. This is, I believe, Patrick Paul. So there's a few people talking about Patrick Paul. A Stud City, real quick. Sorry to cover you, Tigo. Did you talk about him yet? A couple people, Michael DeRoos. He liked Patrick Paul. I thought he looked really good. So did Haynes guard. So look at Dom. Looks a little frightened in this freeze frame.
That's a crazy eyes.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that was. Did this interview right after a bag full of meth.
Yeah. You're a little freaked out. Holy shit! I gotta interview this guy. So let's say this is Patrick Paul. So Dom, real quick, anything you want to say beforehand? Or you want to wait till after we hear it?
No, I'll talk to. Listen, he on the. We talked about Jordan Morgan kind of not living up to the bill. I think Patrick Paul flipped that script. He was the guy that I wasn't too high on his film. I thought he looked a little, stiff and lumbering. But he played differently, especially day 2 and day 3. Now, day 1, he was, kind of a little off, as most people were. Like the day 1 was a little bit sloppy, all in all. With the exception of some guys, but Patrick Paul took a little time to get his groove back on. But man, dominant in day 2 and day 3. There wasn't, very few reps lost in the one-on-one drills. Consistently, handled left tackle, which I think shows to me that's where they think like they move these guys around a lot. There was a lot of interchangeable parts. Guys were taking snaps that normally don't take snaps. Guys were, out at either guard, who normally don't play guard, normally play center. There's a lot of flip-flopping between the tackles and the guards. And Patrick Paul just stayed at left tackle. And he put it all together on day 2 and day 3. Probably, right up there with Christian Jones, who I thought was the best tackle all camp, all week. Right up there with Christian Jones, Talise Fuaga, and Tyler Guyton as the top tackles there.
All right, cool. All right, we want to get to this one and maybe one more interview. We gotta hurry up, and we're a bunch of wordy fellows. We gotta trim it real quick because I'm wordy too. I want to say hello to Ali. What's up, Ali? Good to see you, buddy. I also want to say hello to Mark from Asbury Park. Good to see you, my friend. But Tigo, if you wouldn't mind, this is the interview with Patrick Paul.
Hey guys, Dom C talking Jets That's here with Houston tackle Patrick Paul. Patrick, congratulations first on the honor of being here.
Thank you.
No problem. This is the best of the best, man, and you fit right in. Tell me what it's been like so far these first couple of days.
It's been fun. We came in on Sunday, and I've been having a good time. It's kind of like a dream come true. It is a dream come true. I see all these players. I watch a lot of football, so I see all these players, and it's great now to see everyone from their different schools, and we're all just here trying to, compete. I'd say the first day I was a little bit too tensed up, thinking too much on it, psyching myself out because I wanted to be perfect. But today I felt like I bounced back, had a lot better day as far as showcasing my skills and being more consistent in every drill and every single rep I had. I felt like today the offensive line was just clicking on a different level too, as you saw in the team periods. We brought that energy. So
let me tell you, that offensive line on the American squad, I've been saying all week long, totally impressed. Totally impressed.
We're clicking. So I feel like even tomorrow's going to be even better. We're just going to keep taking jumps and keep taking steps, but that's what comes with it. It's our first day. We practiced our first day yesterday. Today's second day. Third day is going to be the best day. So,
talk to me about your preparation, not only for the Senior Bowl, but just in general. You're playing a team that got a guy that bendy, twitchy around the end. What kind of game plan, what kind of mentality are you doing when you're watching film? Break that down for us.
It's going to start on the Sunday after the game. So theoretically, this is saying we already played a game. It's going to start that Sunday. I'm going to get my body back right from the previous game, watch the game that we just played. But then that Sunday, we're moving on to the next team. We're going to do the scout report, maybe watch a team, watch them play one specific team just to see how they start the game. Then during the week, we'll watch film. And then on Friday, get with the offensive line. We'll sit down, watch some film, do our pass rush sheets, do our scouting reports again. And right before the game, we'll go through a walkthrough and we're ready to go.
Do a little self-scouting for me. What's the one thing that you want to improve on between now and draft coming?
So I'm out in the sports academy with Duke Manyweather. We're currently working on our hands, leverage, strike and leverage in the run game, and hands. Just clean up the hands. It's a mental thing. It's a mental conscious to constantly do it. And I felt like we've taken so many strides since I've been with him, and we're just going to keep working once I get back.
You going to Combine?
Of course, yes, sir.
You're going to run?
Yes, sir.
You're going to be sub 5?
Yes, sir.
That's what I love to hear.
Yes, sir.
Patrick, we're the Jets. Holes in the offense tackle. I got a shirt that says "Just End the Tackle Search." That search for me ends with you. Whether or not you end up in New York with the Jets, I know you're going to hear your name called early. I wish you nothing but continued health and success in your career. All right?
I appreciate
your
so
time.
much.
All right.
That was great. That's a great song too. What a great interview. On both sides. I gotta say I love the questions, but I love the answers too. I mean, I thought that he was willing to give. A lot of times, Dom, you're right. You find that these guys, they're a little bit close to the vest, right? They don't want to say anything one way or the other to kind of impact what they're being coached to say. You don't want to say anything. You ask a question like, hey, you rather play this or that? And they go, oh, this. And then it limits. Teams hear that shit. And they're very cautious. I thought he was pretty forthcoming. He didn't say anything damning or anything, but I thought it was a great interview, very well spoken, very clear, able to express the ideas. So, they were, it's kind of exciting to talk about it, guy. Where do you see him going, Dom?
Oh, he played himself into the first round. He's a top 20 pick without a doubt.
Yeah. Amazing. So, hey man, there's a lot to tell you. We're going to see a lot of shuffling, guys. We have like those 4 guys, maybe 5 that we talk about all the time, but going through the combine and this whole process, you're going to see a lot of shuffling around. And especially when, the combine, somebody runs a slow 40, all of a sudden your number 1 guy is now your guy you have the, 10th just because of a 40 time. It happens all the time.
And I want to say that question was kind of served up on a platter. Like, he's not going to run a sub 5.0 40. I mean, the guy's 328 pounds at 6'7". If he ran sub 5, I'd be severely shocked. And I think he kind of get that. He saw the pause before he answered, yes, sir. No, you're not. But that's okay.
It's great. Tom Cahill quickly checking in before we get to the next interview. And I see you, big fella. We'll get to yours next. Real quick, Dom, who's the quarterback you chomp at the bit? And obviously we're not going to use a first round pick. I'm confident that that's not going to happen. Where and who?
I mean, honestly, if I'm making if it's my decision, if this is my draft to run, I'm probably going to pass on a quarterback this year. I'm going to go because, like I said, I think the priority is to get a guy like Jacoby Brissett or something like that, a veteran backup, and I'll worry about the backup quarterback when I have some more draft capital to throw at it. Listen, if I had to take a dart throw on a late guy. I mean, I like Michael Pratt. You know, he didn't. You know, he did some things this week that was hit or miss. You know, some decision making was kind of sloppy at times. But I like him. I like his game. The guy. I mean, I don't think he's draftable. I don't think he's going to be. I think he's probably going to be an undrafted guy. But I was actually pleasantly surprised at Sam Hartman. You know, and there was times on day 2, Jeremy, you just logged off.
Where'd he go, Dom?
It's frozen. So
where'd your bunkmate go?
He's frozen.
But I'm here.
That's fine, Jeremy. You're
I
okay.
thought Sam Hartman, day 2 especially, was the best quarterback on the national team, and that's the team that had Bo Nix and Michael Penix. He threw the ball with some zip, with anticipation, and what I really liked about him, and I didn't know that he had this in his game, is he's got a set of wheels, you know, very, very, listen, not Lamar Jackson wheels, but very like Daniel Jones-esque, you know, like forced out of pocket. He can run and he can gain some yards. Like he ran by some cornerbacks. So am I going to throw a draft pick at him? No, I think he's going to be an undrafted free agent, you know. But on day 2, I thought he was the best quarterback on the national team.
Okay. Real quick, big fella, this comment. Thank you guys for the super chats. Joe Milton processes the field slower than Zach Wilson and is just as inaccurate. My son goes to UTK, and we are so happy that he is gone.
University,
Utah, University. Yeah, he's Tennessee. Undrafted free agent at best. Real quick, Dom, do you agree?
I don't think he's undrafted. I think somebody's going to take it. I mean, he's got an athletic upside, you know, and he's got a mini howitzer on the end of his shoulder. So somebody's going to, see that as a moldable ball of clay. But I the idea that he's going to go day 2 is probably out the window.
So we're having some difficulty in the private chat getting an applicable interview because Dom, all he fucking has is cornerbacks. It seems.
No, it's not all cornerbacks.
I know. I'm playing with you. So we have one pulled up here. This is, Fuaga. I believe, this is Fuaga. Hold on.
Yes, this is Fuaga.
Let me just get that. Okay.
Now, before you play this one happened. You're going to see it's kind of interrupted at one point because the whistle had blown for us to leave the field, but I saw him and he was free, and I wasn't going to miss the opportunity to talk to him. So you're going to see in the middle of it gets interrupted a little bit by some of the people that are shooing us off the field. So just
this is also one that Dom lets him know who's boss in this one, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, we love you. We love you, Talisa.
We love you. We love you.
This is just Dom with his best friend Talise Fuaga.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Well said.
We're talking Jets here with right tackle stud Talise Fuaga. Talise, how's it feel to have the pads back on, man?
Feels good. Just trying to knock that rust off again. It's been a while, so yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, we know the plan around you is dominant in the run game. You're showing up here both ends of it. Your pass sets are good. You have some great reps against Watson as well. What's the one thing you want to show all the staff, all the fans, and all the coaches here that you have improved from the season until now?
Yeah, I just want to show I'm a well-balanced player, not just one side of the ball and one side too aggressive or anything. But yes, sir. Just trying to be able to show everybody I'm not just one side, not just a run blocker. So yes, sir.
And you feel comfortable playing the left, or you think you're just at right tackle?
Right now, probably just right, but I'm trying to get the left reps in too.
Well, listen, Jets, I know are looking at you, and we hope to have you on our team.
Yeah, I appreciate that, boss.
Excellent. All right. I don't appreciate you cutting off that.
I just want to make sure no one gets flagged for music or anything.
Right. I know. I wonder where that came from. I don't know what the hell that is.
I was just trying to be safe.
I played Dom C 20 different intro musics. And he's no. And I played that one, and a small little smile formed on his face. And I said, that's the one.
That has to be the one.
Oh, that's so good. It's funny because there's something about it, because I tell you, when it came on the other night on Tuesday, right, it did the same thing to me. I was like, hey, where'd we get that? I like that. And Brian's like, all right, it just happened or whatever. But yeah, anyway, that's good. Do we have one more pulled up, Tigo? Is that what I'm seeing, or is that it?
I've got the list. So if you
No, it's fine. It's we're a little bit over, so it's fine. And I just took my 20 milligrams of melatonin. I want to tell somebody said, hey man, that's too much melatonin. That was, my doctor told me to take 20 milligrams of melatonin. People are afraid of it. And it worked. I usually take 10, but tonight I went hard with the caffeine, so I'm gonna take my 20. It's fine, everybody. I'll be. I used to inject cocaine and heroin. I'm gonna be fine. I'm telling you, melatonin. It's not what's gonna get me, everybody. I'm telling you, I'm hard and I'm battle hardened. But yeah, this was great, man. And there's a lot of great comments. Being thrown at the two guys here down at the Senior Bowl. Tigo just bounced. He's like, they're not talking about me. They're done. But I want to thank Tigo. Here he is. I was saying, Tigo, I want to thank you too, man. Tigo's been helping us out, pulling all this stuff. He's going to hang out with us on the Thursday thick of it in the background and help us with some stats and things that we're talking about. So, and I'm really excited. Again, guys, I want to remind you, Wednesday nights on the Talking Jets channel, 8 p.m., Tigo and I are going to be cutting it up with the Armchair GM show. Jeremy is also going to be on the Talking Jets channel with Matt O'Leary, which is going to be so fun to see you guys together. That show is called Reality Check, and they're going to make sense of all the crazy shit that we hear during the offseason. It gets nuts. Some of it smokescreen, some of it flat out lies and dishonesty. Anything coming from Samini is false. But Jeremy and Matt are going to help us navigate through the baloney and get to what's real. Dom C is also going to be on the Talking Jets channel alongside of Ryan. I cannot wait to see the dynamic between Dom and Ryan talking about specifically, heavily, the NFL draft coming up. It's our draft show with Dom C and Ryan, and it's going to be a great bunch of additions to the Talking Jets channel. We could not be more excited. I also want to remind everybody about our draft party coming to Long Island for the first round of the draft. Let me see what I have here. Hold on. Let me pull it up one more time. Unless I closed it. I'm good like that. I like to close things. No, I didn't close it, everybody. So here it is. Our Talking Jets draft party, April 25th, 7 to 11 p.m. The tickets come with open bar, endless food. We will have crowd cams for the reaction and everything. And there's also an opportunity to buy VIP tickets as well, which gets you a booth, a private booth with right next to the Talking Jets panel table. But yeah, man, and every ticket comes with a shirt right now. Talking Jets OnlyFans members get $10 off. So if you are a member of the Talking Jets crew, go ahead and get your ticket now. If you're thinking about it, save a few bucks. And we're really looking forward to hanging out with everybody. I know Tigo won't be there. So
unfortunately,
sad to say. Nor Jeremy, you're not going to be there either, are you? This isn't going to draw you over.
I don't know. Well, there might be a chance that I'm in North Carolina that week. And if I fly JetBlue, I might be able to do a pit stop. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's only a 12-hour drive, so it's not a big deal.
No, I would make it part of the trip and swing, because JetBlue you have to go through New York anyway to get home.
Well, you know what? If you did drive, where are you in North Carolina again? Where are you?
My parents are in Raleigh, Durham, Cary.
Oh, dude, no, it's 6 hours, seven hours. You're fine. It's nothing. Unless you hit
there and back same night. There and back same day.
Right? Yeah, dude, I've done that too. It's brutal. But the DC thing could make it 9 without a bat and an eyelash. So just be careful.
Yeah,
be careful. All right. So real quick, I know I just kind of blasted us out there, but is there anything additional, Jeremy, that you want to let anybody know that's going on? Let's make it on the quicker side. But of course, anything you have coming up that you're excited about?
Well, as I've been traveling, I've been doing a lot of food reviews. So keep your eye on Brooklyn Brothers Food Review. I had Whataburger, good North Carolina barbecue. So just keep your eyes on the channel. There'll be some great videos coming out.
All right, and on that note, I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now. We did the Cravat Brothers sent me the Last Dab hot sauce kit, and we take a little sampling of all the hot sauces. And when we get to the hottest hot sauce on earth, the Apollo hot sauce, it is not fun. And we did it together live for you. I do still maintain that I handled it the best. I think I handled it the best. But
I haven't watched, but I know that Jeremy handled it the worst.
Without question.
Can second that. I have not watched yet, but I can confirm that that's probably true.
Yeah, Jeremy definitely handled it the worst. His brothers were much better. Let me see something here. So Tigo, you got anything coming up, buddy?
Well, obviously, like I'm doing stuff on my channel, but if I wanted to highlight anything, it's draft season. Me and Dom, we have a podcast that we do where we talk about the draft and all that stuff. And so go subscribe to Project Prospect. Go listen to the Draft Dodgers podcast. I'm really excited for Dom to finally get back home so we can start talking about the Senior Bowl and all that stuff, because it's I've just been building up and penting up all of this draft conversation that I want to have, and I have no outlet because he's in mobile, so he's busy all day, and I can't just be like, oh, did you see this rep? Yeah, he saw it like 9 hours ago. I have to wait till it gets uploaded to YouTube and all this stuff. But yeah, Draft Dodgers. Project Prospect.
There you go, guys. That's a good, and thank you for bringing that up. That's a good one. Dom C, anything left?
Listen, I'm gonna be putting out a lot of Senior Bowl related and draft related content through the Project Prospect channel. The podcast is going to be kind of revigorated once I'm home and settled and so on and so forth. We do a lot of fun stuff on there. Mock drafts, guys, different scenarios. I got a bunch of different guests lined up. Also starting a new show on that channel called State of the Franchise, where we're going to my goal is to get one content creator from all 32 teams to come on and talk about their teams, what it looks like now, what the fix is, and then we're going to do a mock draft with them. On top of that, besides the show with me and Ryan, where we're going to be kind of really Jet focused draft related at 8 o'clock on Mondays. This Monday is the return of the 10 o'clock.
How did I forget that?
I don't know how you forgot.
10 o'clock mock is back this Monday night. Our first chat run really decided, although Dom does a good job of kind of edging you one way or the other. He got to be careful with Dom C in the room, everybody.
Yeah, don't disrespect me. No,
the only chat decided mock draft on the entire interweb is what I say. I have no idea if that's actual facts, but I'm saying it nonetheless. Yet somehow, even though the chat picks the players, they fucking hate it every time. At the end, they go F. And they picked it. It's really a good time. This is like the third or fourth year that we're doing it. The second with Dom. I'm really looking forward to it. So 10 o'clock Monday night right here on GreenBean Jetsfan. Harry confirms, Jeremy, that I did, in fact, handle the hot sauce the best by far in caps. And thank you, Harry, for confirming. The link is pinned to the top of the chat, everybody. With that all said, I'm getting the hell out of here. The melatonin's kicking in hard, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, baby.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah! You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.